So, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode. This is Mindset, Success, and Social Dynamics, Life by Design. We have our guest here today. Her name is Michelle. All right. And I pretty much want her to talk about her. I want you to talk about pretty much like your past. I'm gonna put the question like this. It's your past, your present, and your future. Okay. So if you could
Must
like talk,
introduce myself. Oh,
there we are.
okay. Awesome. So, being a coach now in my life, I had a very like abusive past. I didn't grow up in the best of circumstances. I grew up without a dad since a little girl. My mom wasn't, always available for us. So, we grew up in different households. We were surrounded by different kind of people, different kind of races as well. We've been raised, and eventually um, you pick up where you are as a child. Your brain picks up between the ages of 0 and 7. It picks up on people's behaviors, the way people act, the stuff that people say. And sometimes as a child, that creates wounds, and those wounds become scars, and we walk around with them being adults. And sometimes we behave the way we behave. And we do the stuff that we do, and we can't really, pinpoint of why we're doing it. We're battling to change habits because it's so deeply installed inside of us that we actually it's a battle. For me, it was very rough to heal and to understand the stuff that I've been through, to learn from it, to take the learnings from it. And I think if I didn't go through the stuff that I've been through since I was a little girl, and in my adulthood and my teenage years, I wouldn't have been able to sit here and have this discussion with you and the discoveries that I've had in my life and my clients' lives. So I'm very happy to be here.
Wow. Okay. And then for your present, because I do have a couple of questions here for you, but I definitely want you to unpack your story so that people can see you the way that you like to be seen, you know, in this little docu episode, this little not docu series, but like a docu episode that I'm making about you, and kind of putting everything just packed into this one episode in, your present. Tell me a little bit about like where you're at today and kind of like where it is that you want to go at for the future, you know. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I've been in corporate most of
What
my
you like to
life.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been in corporate most of my life. I was a corporate girly. Absolutely loved corporate. I earned a very good, can I say, big salary. And there was nothing wrong where I was. I really loved what I do. I love the people. I was their coach. I was their personal trainer. I was their learning and development manager. They, I just decided the world needs more of me to start my own business as a coach. So I'm 3 years in as a coach and also do a lot of keynote speaking. I wasn't supposed to be a keynote speaker. I was just, bargaining on coaching and counseling companies, individuals. And suddenly I went and spoke to one company, and now I'm so booked as a keynote speaker. I think people just love the honesty and the authenticity. And I'm not shy to tell people where I came from and where I am today. I also have my battles. People think coaches or coach celebrities has got these wonderful lives and they've got it all figured out. Well, I've got news for you. They actually don't. We all have our own battles and struggles, and that's the way we learn. Yeah, I'm a mom of a son, and I'm a dog lover. I am a CrossFit lover. I am a psychology lover. I absolutely love when new studies come out of the brain, how the brain works, or studies are done when it comes to the brain. I absolutely love that. I'm a chocolate snob.
Wow.
So, yeah, everything nicely inconsistency. Sometimes we fall off the bus and sometimes we get on the bus. I think that, but that's what makes us so, in a world full of artificial intelligence, I think the world is becoming more hungry for realness and just being yourself, you know?
Wow, that's so impressive. Oh my gosh. So how did you become a keynote speaker? I know that you've had other places because I kind of searched you out that you kind of had spoken at before, and so how did you become a keynote speaker? And can you talk about like people that want to get over like a certain like barrier and it's in, and then they were able to like, get past that, door, but that wasn't there, even though the door might have been there, right? But and just kind of like sharing, you get me, your expertise on getting past like a mental barrier, you know, and then how do you get past it?
So I was never supposed to be a keynote speaker. I always loved speaking, but I always had that fear of what
The
are people going to
tools.
think of me.
Yeah.
Um, you know, yeah, that fear of getting up and everybody looking at you and what if you're saying the wrong thing. So yeah, I was never supposed to be a keynote speaker. I resigned to become a full-time coach to help people on a full-time basis with the things that they're battling with. And you know, it's like anything else. I had to step into the fear. The first time I walked onto stage, oh my word, I was so afraid. I was shaking. My voice was shaking. But it all comes with practicing. The more you do something, um, especially the things that you're afraid of, the better you become with that specific thing. So if anybody becomes a keynote speaker, like, everybody thinks it's just getting up and standing there and talking. You need to do your research. You need to practice. You need to practice your voice. You need to practice feeling, connecting with your people. Like, there's so many things that you need to practice in keynote speaking. But for me, it was ultimately, you know, do something and get critical feedback and fix it, and do something and get that feedback and fix it. And, you know, still, when I get on stage now, I'm amped. There will always be the fear, but the thing is, where do you direct your fear as a keynote speaker when you're on there? But 100%, I think anybody can talk. And most people are afraid, right? They're afraid to get on that stage in front of thousands of people. It's all about practicing and believing in yourself and believing in your work and what you do, and practicing your voice and making sure that you look good at yourself in the mirror. And sometimes it's never good enough, right? But there comes a point where you fly when you're a keynote speaker, because you put in a lot of work in it and your stuff is validated. And I think it's just helping other people, giving them takeaways that could change their lives. That's what it's about. I used to cry the first time when I did a keynote speaker, because people were looking at me funny. They weren't laughing when I made a joke. And I just thought to myself, you know what? It's not about everyone. It's about that one person in the audience, just one. If you can change just one person's life by changing the way they look at themselves, the way they feel, or for them to implement something in their lives, that already is a big win in this world. It's a big win.
And for the got it. And how have you gotten so good at pretty much helping people fix their own perception of themselves? Okay, whether in their own personal lives, and then being able to help communicate that with others, and being able to get people out of that mental, getting people out of that rut, so they
Yeah.
can
So
get out
I
of like there, and then kind of giving them the ladder, the tools, you get me, so they can get themselves out if they hadn't already, and just really getting themselves out of that rut, you get me. Maybe it's not a ladder, maybe it's a rope, I don't know, but you get me, just kind of like just how using the language, the words, you get me, to empower ourselves, you get me, or just using language to get ourselves out. and kind of
Mm,
deconstructing, breaking those mental barriers, you get me, and allowing them to have the solution that they would like, or the optimal setting, or the optimal, like, ideal, like, viewing place that they'd like the
mm,
ideal scene, thank you, that they
yeah.
would like, and
So
the perceptions and communications of that, like how they see themselves, and then how you communicate that. Because I know you've been coaching for 20 years, and people can,
yeah.
yes, and so you're like
So
an
I think
authority, and
it's
you had a book, you have a couple of books here, and some that are coming out, which are really great.
so I think it's
People can
very
pick those up.
important as a coach to meet someone where they are at. So if you meet that person broken, sad, upset, angry, as a coach, you meet that person, and as a coach, you dance with the person in the moment, right? So that they can also have their moment. There's a reason why that person is feeling the way they are feeling. All of us have different experiences in life. And I think this is what people battle with to understand. Your feeling angry might not be the same as my feeling angry because it depends on how deep it is. How deep is that scar of you becoming angry and triggered about something? So it's very, very important to meet the client where they are and validate what they say, but also challenge that person and keep that person accountable um, for the next step. So coaching is not just about one session, it's a journey. Like I say to people, it's a journey. It's not a and that person needs to commit to that. If you can't commit to that, then who's really serious about changing their lives or their habits or their beliefs or their value systems. So I think people really hardly understand that we all wake up every day with a different perception within ourselves, a different feeling. I mean, anything can trigger it. Something that you smell, something that you see, something that you hear, something that you taste. Maybe you had a bad day yesterday at work with your boss, and this morning you're going to wake up and you're not going to feel like seeing that person, or you feel anxious. And many things that happens in our adulthood life happened when we were kids. The thing is, most people just crop up those feelings, you know. In my Afrikaans community, we were taught that cowboys don't cry. I don't know if you know those words. And uh, put on your big girl panties and just get on with it. But the thing is, when we say those words to people, it means that their feelings and their thoughts are not, it's not validated. And they push those feelings, they don't bring those feelings out. They don't speak about their feelings because people feel embarrassed. So we all have many different perceptions in this world. Every day we wake up, we put another pair of glasses on or the same pair of glasses on. And in order to see somebody else's perception, you need to be able to listen to their point of view. I always say, keep quiet. When somebody speaks, keep quiet so that you know that you're actively listening to them, try and understand them and see the situation from their point of view and vice versa. And if we can do that a little bit more, we can understand each other's perceptions and we would be able to understand each other and communicate better in this world.
Wow. And then what about somebody that their perception of themselves, you get me, they want to change it. How can a person do that? How can they change perception of them? How can they do that? How can they change their own perception of themselves?
So that is also a lot of deep work. I mean, if you do something and you don't feel like you're good enough, for example, you're procrastinating. Say, for example, you're doing a video for social media and you've now done it 17 times and it's 4 hours later and you still haven't loaded that video on social media, there's definitely something there. It's either the feeling of not feeling good enough, What are people going to say? The feeling of fear, um, and that is deeply rooted, instilled in us. Something somewhere happened when somebody told you you are not good enough. So, somewhere that feeling was installed into your programming. And as you grow older, it's like a loop. It's just looping. Every time you do something, you're either procrastinating or you're not doing it at all, or you feel exhausted because you are looping because someone said something, they did something to you that you're not allowing it to let it go. So in NLP and coaching, we go to that specific event, we try and help the client to go into their subconscious mind, because that's where it stores, in our subconscious mind. We take them into their subconscious mind and we help them to go to that event, to see that event through their own eyes, and to take the learnings from that event so that if it happens in the future, the client will take the learnings from that event. It's not going to trigger the client as in this triggered me. So in NLP, we don't, people think it's, how can I say, like it's magic. We're doing magic. There's a lot of things that people say about NLP. NLP is not to make the client forget about what happened. It's for the client to take the learnings from what was learned there and not to take that experience as an identity, as in, this is who I am. You said I'm not good enough, so this is who I am. You said I'm ugly, so this is who I am. And this is what happens. People take their experiences and they create it as their identity, as this is who they are. And this just becomes a loop. And the thing is, the older we become, the more it comes and bites on us until we sort out that problem. Like, you know, until we sort out what is going on with us, it will keep on coming back. It will keep on looping. Yeah, and it's up to the person to actually, you go for help, go for therapy. It will never take what happened to us away, but it will take away learnings from us. I mean, if I look at my life and the stuff I've been through in my life, I could sit here and tell you this shouldn't have happened to me. I feel sorry for myself. And I could play the victim card, but I chose to take the learnings, good or bad, from it, so that when it comes up in the future, um, it makes, I could take the learnings from that.
And then how do you, and then and communicating those learnings, how can a person get good at communicating those learnings with others? Now that they've taken the time to, you get me, do the internal work, maybe by getting some of your books, with the
Yeah.
perceptions that they had about themselves, because somebody might have told them something that they didn't like about themselves, like, I don't know, like, you're not beautiful. And
Mm-hmm.
and somebody might have just been brash, and then they change their perception. Now they see themselves the way that they could be seen. And how can they communicate that onto others, like the communication part? How can a person begin to communicate now that they've done the internal work to rewire their belief systems of saying, hey, I want to change my internal perceptions, I want to change the internal work, you know and and now I can communicate that work with other people.
So, I mean, are you meaning if they've done the work, how do they communicate that they've done the work? Is that what
Yes.
you were asking?
What's because now that they've, like, moved stuff around with their perception, maybe through visualization and going to the event, you get me, they're just sitting where they're at, taking the time to try to unpack that, or whatever tools that they're using. Because I know that you have a lot of good stuff you've already covered in the episode. They could actually do it while going through the episode. It's really good what you were able to do. And and then communicating, you get me, like what's the communication part? Like how can they communicate success? Yeah, how can they do that to onto the
Well,
world, onto others
yeah, so I,
around them?
in order to see if somebody's changed and in order for that person to communicate it with somebody else, um, it will all be in the person's actions. You will see a change in someone when you see it in their actions. I've got a lot of clients wanting to change, and it's all talk. It's saying, I want to change. But the main thing is, are you willing to do it in your actions? Are you willing to take action and change it in your actions? So sometimes we don't need to communicate it to the world. Sometimes you will 100% see it in the person's actions. If I come to you and say to you, I've changed, I'm not going to tell you anymore that I'm ugly, I'm sorry. You might believe me, but you will believe me more when you see it in my actions, when you see it in the stuff that I do, mostly. You know, people are sometimes just also just too quick to act and react. People don't walk away and go think, what will the consequences be when I tell this person that he or she is ugly? What will it do to that person? What will the consequences be? So I think in this busy world and changing world, people must also learn to become still, become quiet. Go sit and think about before you react to somebody else, because that has big consequences. That becomes wounds and it becomes scars. And unfortunately, it's very, very difficult to take words back once it came out of your mouth. It's very, very difficult, especially towards somebody else.
Gosh, you know, yeah, no, I can agree with that. All right, cool. So, and then and then, all right, I got it. So, let's see. So, what are some things that you've gained from NLP, that you've gained from NLP, and that you've benefited from learning NLP? What are some things that you've gotten and you gained from NLP?
So from NLP, I've learned
An
so,
example for others to teach them. There you are, like
oh,
the models, if be.
so there are many models in NLP that one can use depending on what needed to be done for the client. So there's so many different things like cognitive reframing, visualization, goal setting, um, emotional regulation, report building, self awareness. Um, yeah, like I say, NLP is not for everyone. It doesn't work for everyone. It's not the type of therapy that would work for everybody. It's the same with hypnotherapy. It's the same, you know. I think if a person really wants to heal, he or she needs to try different therapies like I did. It's not for everyone. It's not going to work with everyone. Um, I've got one specific client that had the fear of driving. She came to me and she said she cannot drive. Every time she gets in the car, she gets anxiety. And we had to sit for a couple of sessions to see where this anxiety came from, what triggered it, because every time she gets in the car, she was triggered. And we had to scratch deeply um, by her experiences and by the way she labeled herself in these experiences. So we had to do deep internal work. I think a month, 2 months later, she was in front of my gate hooting the hooter. And she says, Look, Michelle, I'm driving everywhere. I'm not scared to drive anymore. So this is exactly what I said where stuff is deeply instilled, like you actually don't know where it comes from. And these neuro techniques helps to see where this experiences is coming from. Where is it coming from? and how that language shapes your behavior. I mean, you can say to yourself, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. And without noticing it, you don't feel good enough. And your external world is also not good enough. So NLP also helps the thinking and the behaviors that we so easily say. Um, Yeah, and it helps to change habits. But like I said, it's a journey. It's not just one session and wham bam, there you go, and you sort it. It's multiple sessions. It takes work, multiple work.
But it can be, right? It can be one session. I know it could. All right, but this is really good. I've had that experience myself where a couple of sessions has definitely made an impact on me. I don't know if some people there might be on a budget, but it also depends who you're working with, and if it's like maybe a book,
100%.
so maybe they got it. You get me just when they read that sentence after they purchased the book, or
Yeah,
just maybe they got it after. Yeah, I mean, just that's just fine, and they got the knowledge, and it's like, wow, now I'm not where I was at anymore because I got the answer. And as soon as you get the answer is the moment I wanted to get at, that you know it, that breakthrough, that positive, unpacking, that positive understanding, and then they're like, wow, you got me, this is, now I'm feeling the way that I could feel, or that I wanted to feel, or that I should feel, or that now that they are feeling that is better than what they were at before,
yeah.
and
So
just
I
doing
for
that internal
myself, I
change
mean,
work to
yeah.
be and
So I've
feel
I've
and
done
become the
I've
people
done
they want to
a
be. Yeah.
I've done a lot of work for myself in NLP, and I still do. I do a lot of anchoring. So every time I feel nervous about something or I go on stage, I've anchored my knuckle. So I elicited the my knuckle to, if I feel nervous, I I press on where I've elicited the anchor. So that I do a lot in my life. I do a lot of, um, you know, I'm quite a chocolate person. So, I like to switch my mind sometimes about replacing it with something else. Um, I'm still not perfect as a coach. I also have certain behaviors and habits that I would like to change, but it takes constant work, and I use NLP to do that. And I have a NLP coach myself. So when I feel enough is enough and I'm sick and tired of dealing with this, I would go to my NLP coach and we would work on different techniques depending on what it is that I battle with. So I very much use still NLP in my life, and it works for a lot of my clients. They just say they feel amazing, like the feeling is gone, um, the loop is gone, the habit feels lighter. It feels like they can manage it. The procrastination is lighter. The emotional state has changed. So definitely, I do use it in my life as well. Still,
And then what is an anchor? You mentioned an anchor, you know, and how did you learn so what are anchor, like what is an anchor? How can a person use an anchor, and what is an anchor for like the audience? That's like
well,
yeah.
basically, it's taking you from your current state to your desired state. So let's say I'm going to walk on a stage with hundreds and thousands of people. The feeling of feeling anxious for me as a person is going to come natural. So I'm thinking, for me, my voice might shatter. That's the things that you think. What if my voice shatters? What if I lose my words? What if I and I'm eyeing like I'm doing right now? What happens if I fall? What happens if somebody shouts negative words? So I've anchored, you can anchor whatever is comfortable with the client. So you will anchor the current state of being anxious to the desired state. So, like I said, I anchor on my knuckles. So there's a process that you work through the client, taking them from the current state and basically asking a question like, do you remember a time, a specific time where you were completely confident? And if the client says yes, you've now got your client in that state, right? That confident state. And the minute your client hits the confident state is the minute that you anchor the knuckle. And you'll keep on doing that in repetition so that your client now walks away with their current state. So when I walk on stage and I feel the fear, I would just touch my knuckles because I know this is where I've instilled the desired state of anchoring.
Wow. And then what's the benefit of anchoring? Like, what can anchoring do for a person after putting themselves in a desired state? What can that person do?
Well, it basically puts you in the state that you want to be in. So it takes you from anxiousness to the state that you want to be in. So if you're on any circumstance where you feel like I've got anxiety, you will touch your knuckle because that's where we've instilled it into the desired state. So anchoring can put you into the desired state where you want to be because this is where you've installed your desired state, the state that you want to be in. I mean, I've got a client that sometimes her husband just looks at her and she just loses it, by the way she looks at him.
Wow.
And I've anchored her desired state on her earlobe. So every time she has this feeling, she will touch her earlobe so that number one, she's consciously aware of the state that she's in and touching her earlobe saying, I want to be in my desired state. Um, obviously, like I said, there's a reason why we act the way we act. We react the way we act, and anchoring can help, and sometimes it doesn't help. It all depends how deeply rooted it is within a person.
And then what would be the benefit of anchoring? It puts them in desired state. And how does a person create an anchor? Like how do I do it? I have to be in so like yeah, how do I do it? Do I just touch my knuckle or do I just touch my earlobe? You get me? I have to feel confident while I do it. How do I do it exactly?
So obviously, your NLP coach will take you through the scripts. There's a very, very specific script that you use. And your coach will know when for you to fire the anchor. It's very, very important when to fire that anchor. So your coach must be so qualified and must know, okay, I can see that person is in that state, so now I'm going to fire that anchor. And we don't just do it once, we do it multiple times. We do it like 10, 20 times until we are 100% sure that you are in that desired state.
Hmm. So I learned anchoring. I remember I went through a Jordan Belfort training back in the day. And that's I think was it Tony Robbins that taught him anchoring? I don't know, but the Jordan, what he would do is this. You got me. This is how I learned how to set them, because the knuckle I think you already taught them, and it was like you put yourself in a state where it's like ecstasy, right? And it's just like I'm serious. But of ecstasy and you just feel good and it's just like you do that a couple of times, you get me, and setting an anchor, you put yourself in the state that you'd like, you get me, you do that a couple of times, you'd be like ecstasy, right? Or confident. You kind of touch your knuckle and then over time you get me, whenever you touch your knuckle, you kind of feel the way that it is you wanted to feel. You just have to put yourself in an intense state, like, wow, I feel confident. You can write a couple of things down on a sheet of paper where it's like these things make me feel confident, so you're focused on those positive things. Uh,
Yes, so you basically have to be in the situation
sure.
looking through your own eyes. So what are you seeing? What are you feeling? What are you smelling? Like you can only go into that state when you are in that picture, right? When you're in the picture and you're feeling it, and you know, your tummy is like, you know, rolling and you're all excited. And that's how you get someone in the desired state, is when they are in it, they feeling it, they experience it, and that's when you fire the anchor, when they are there. So that's what I meant by dancing in the moment with the client. You've got to understand and be with your clients 100% in order to be able to do this. You can't sit with your client and think of a holiday on a yacht in Hawaii, because then you're not going to catch it when you have to anchor.
Wow, traveling. That's something. That's really neat. Being able to put myself in that, yeah, in that scenery. So, and then how do you how you know what over the 20 years, I mean, you've been coaching for a long time. What would be some good, NLP coaching models? Maybe one or two that you can share with the audience, maybe one, and then one NLP model, just a one NLP model that you've liked, one or two NLP models that you've liked, and then I'll ask you about the coaching, like a good coaching NLP model.
So one model that I really love in NLP
Yeah,
is
like one or two of those. Yeah, that one, yeah.
time traveling with the client. So basically, taking the client back in time,
Hmm.
taking the client into things that happen to them, so that we can take the learnings from that, um, and taking the client back into the now state. We can also take the client into future state, to check if the emotions and the feelings are still there. It's never ever for the client to forget the experience, but it's for the client to deal with the hurt and the wounds, and to take positive learnings, whatever that might be. It's sometimes very, very difficult to take away positive learnings from something that's happened to you. But once the client's got the learnings, then that event, like kind of like, is lighter, like it's it dissolves, if I can say that. The client doesn't identify themselves as what happened to them. They don't say, this is who I am not good enough. They release their identity from their experience, and that's ultimately what you want, um, in order for the client to heal.
Yes, yes, I love it. Very cool. So, and then and then that would be one model that you've discovered in NLP that you've liked, like one.
I
The
must say
time
I love.
traveling.
Yeah.
Cool, cool. And then what would
So
be like a second or third model, like a third model that you've liked in NLP?
yeah, so
Yeah,
there's
like a
mirror and
different one is
match.
what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's mirror and matching as well. Um, when the client is, you know, for instance, loving chocolate but eating too much of chocolate, then basically what you'll do is you will switch the screens. But again, meeting the client in the moment, so that the client can see this chocolate. This client can, and you'll ask the client, what do you want to replace with chocolate? And the client will say, oh, well, I want to replace it with salad. So basically, you're switching the screens in the client's mind and changing it from chocolate to salad. Switching screens. um, I also think, like, for some people it does work, and for some it just doesn't work. um, there's many there's so many models in NLP that I love. But like I said, it's not for everyone. It doesn't work for everyone. For some it does, and it's great.
Wow, that's lovely. That's good. That's cool, I guess. And I definitely think, yeah, awesome. Maybe picking up some of your books could be something that could help the person out. You got me in this process. I think that'd be a great idea.
Yes.
If they just found themselves, saying, there's some areas of my life that I definitely wanted to improve on.
Yeah.
I'll let and then the book actually has the answer. So the after effect, if it's saying like, wow, I got the answer, through this, through this book. So that's pretty cool. And they check it out on the website. So you have a website, right? You have like a
I do
website?
have a website.
I'm gonna link your
Yes.
website at the bottom so they can check out your book through there, or yeah, through the website or through Amazon. You get me in buying something online. So it's pretty cool.
Right.
Yeah. So those are the questions that I pretty much had for you today. Let me see. See. So
Mhm.
I have one more here, and it's
Sure.
how can a person wh- um
Sorry, it's called timeline therapy, not time travel. It is like time travel, but it's called timeline therapy. For those who want to go look up on how that technique is done and performed.
I no I it's awesome. Timeline therapy, got it. And what would be one more model that's like that you've gone on, like a life model that has pretty much impacted and changed your life? Like a good life model. This episode's packed. You got me. If releasing it, it's like, hey, this was sold for 9.97. 4.97. A really good episode. It truly, they can
So,
replay it, they can rewatch it, they can do some exercises themselves, like we talked about earlier. They can really actually do it, which is really good. That's that good. They can pretty much fix almost a bunch of areas of their lives. If.
yeah, so I think it's taking ownership um, for where you are at right here, right now, taking that ownership and taking accountability. I think that is the first step of healing. Um, and also listening to your words. Like in NLP, we learn a lot about the power of words and specific words. For example, it wasn't me, it was them.
Mm,
Um, it wasn't me, it was that one. So, when I'm in a session with my clients and they speak those words without noticing, like I can pick up words and I can see where the client is at. Is the client taking accountability? Um, is the client blaming? Is the client living in the past? Are they living in the future? Are they living in the now? Like our words says a lot about who we are, what we battle with, and what we need to heal. If we can just stop for a while and just listen to ourselves speak. I'm not saying now go sit down and listen how that person speak and figure out where they are. If you are trained as a coach like me, you will understand when people sit down and they tell you a story. You can meet the client where they are at because you understand the words that's coming out of their mouth. So, I would say definitely listen how you speak to yourself and the words that you say to yourself, because that will reveal a lot about you as yourself as a person on the things that you need to heal, the things you need to work on. Um, you know, it will reveal about you as a child what's happened. It will reveal your habits, your limiting beliefs, your negative emotions, your trauma. So, again, I'm going to say words is very, very powerful, very, very powerful. Um, and it does take words to change, work to change your thinking. I mean, if I had to give you, if I would say to you, here's $1 million for every negative thought you think today, I want you to give me $1. How many dollars would you think I would end up by the end of today with all the negative thoughts that you think? Because the brain
pretty
is
good.
naturally in fight or flight, so we need to become more conscious.
Now I want to be negative. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
So we need to become more conscious about the words that we say to ourselves and the words that we say to other people. We need to be conscious about what are we thinking about? What are we busy with? Because if I'm busy with negative friends and negative people, I will become like that person. If I'm busy talking negative about other people all the time, I will become that person. And most of all, I will see the world like that. My perception will become like that. So it's up to us to take the accountability to change that for ourselves, to go and dig in those wounds and see what's there and what needs to come up to the surface. And I'm going to say again, healing is not for everybody. If you're not ready to heal, don't go there. But if you are ready and if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, then you're ready.
Wow. Wow, this has been a great
You're so quiet
episode.
now.
Yeah, no, it's just because, it's like, and then this has been a great episode. I'll wrap it up. You get me. I mean, I think wrapping it up now is good. What do you have like a vision of what it is that you're looking to accomplish now with others? Being like a keynote speaker, like for the future, so other people you can kind of keep in touch with them, reach out to them, then be able to,
Mm,
reach back out to you and
yeah.
see if you accept
So
their offering
yeah. So my vision is obviously
of
to
like their
to get my
service or product
to get my
or
book
whatever it is.
launched. Yeah. So I'd love to get my book launched. That's my vision. Um,
Are you a natural blonde, by the way?
sorry.
Are you a natural blonde?
Oh yes, I am.
Wow. I was just gonna say I like your hair the way it's done. It looks really nice.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
hmm
So my vision for the future is
Congratulations, whoever, to you and your hair. Yeah.
thank you.
It's lovely.
So so my vision for the future is to launch a couple of books, um, and to be able to travel the world, to be able to come to America and do a keynote there. Like it's a very, very big dream of mine.
And we're doing
And
this online. You're gonna be reaching some pretty good people online because of
oh,
my
I hope
network.
so.
You will be.
And
So this will be like
just,
an online one. You'll be reaching some good people online. Yeah, like it's just
yeah,
you're putting you like right. It's like it's a good episode.
and
It's
just to
just the
change
network.
someone's life. I mean, if
Yeah,
I can change one person's life, like I said, that's what's important
great
for
podcast.
me. What's important for me. If I can change one person's life, um, I was born to serve, and that's all that matters.
Born to
Who
serve.
knows what the yeah? Who knows
It's like a
what?
leader, and then you have like
Yeah,
the people that bought into you, and you're helping them accomplish their goal, which is cool.
yeah,
Their vision,
100%.
whatever. Yeah, their vision, whatever it is they're going to accomplish. Right?
Yeah. And I want to meet people where they're at. It doesn't necessarily mean if I'm happy, you must be happy. If you said I need to meet you where you at as a coach, I need to dance in the moment with you. I need to feel those feelings with you, and I must be able to change that for you. Um, in order to give you accountability, you need to become accountable, become responsible, and want to change that for yourself.
Cool. Wow, this has been a value-packed episode, and yeah, no, it's pretty awesome. I'm doing the best that I can. You get me in giving the audience as much value as possible and just being very like, brash but good, blunt but good, and being like and having like a soft touch where it's just like, yeah. So I'm gonna end it here now. Is there any like last words that you want to share with like the audience, the guys you got me in putting it out, like the episode?
Yeah, I think I want to say in today, in this specific time, in the year and in the now, I think it's important for us to heal. I think healing is very important when it's needed. And I think in this world full of artificial intelligence, it is important to be yourself. It's important for the world to know who you are. It's important to make mistakes because at the moment everybody looks like they are pretty perfect. Um, it's just important to be yourself. The world needs you as you are right now, authentically you. That's all that matters right now. And yeah, I mean, if there is things that bugs you, things that you need to heal, it's important to speak up. People don't speak up anymore. It's important to speak up. Um, Reach to someone you can speak to. And if there's no one to speak to, then reach to me. I always say to people, here I am. My arms are open. Come and speak if you need to speak.
Wow. For as a speaker and like coaching, you get me consulting. That's pretty awesome. I like that. I saw that books. I love buying and reading books myself. So that's awesome. Books. Cool. So I'm gonna end the episode here. I'm gonna check out your website. I have a couple of questions for you now, but that's pretty much everything. Do I have any more? No, I don't. Not really, at least. Guys, this was a great episode. If you guys have any extra questions, you guys can reach out to her. I'm gonna link all her social medias like on the post here, so you guys can check them out. So this is another episode of Mindset Success and Social Dynamics, Life by Design. I'm very pleased to have you on as today a guest, Michelle. So I truly, truly appreciate you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.